On paper, the Retroid Pocket Classic is a must-own for Sega fans. It packs a good amount of power, has a 4-inch AMOLED screen, and of course the perfect layout to mimic a Saturn pad. But in practice, there are a few frustrations making it very difficult to recommend, unless you're willing to use it in a particular way. I'm going to flesh out those frustrations in a bit, but first, let's go through the basics. The Retroid Pocket Classic is a powerful little handheld that plays everything up to and including Dreamcast stuff. Retroid is a major player in this niche, and their products command a high price. I picked up the Classic from AliExpress. It costs around £150 and it wasn't gifted, but I was allowed to buy it at a heavy discount through my partnership with them. All opinions are my own. You can find the link to this handheld and some discount codes below, which can be a hit or miss, so give them a try and hopefully they'll work for you. It doesn't come with any games, so you would have to fill up a micro SD card with your own ROMs. For the asking price, we get a quality unit. It's not going to survive a drop on hard floor, but the plastic feels nice enough, and all of the cuts and curves are precise. It's a good looking little thing, especially when compared to the Anbernic RG40XX. Which I think is still quite good looking too, but on closer inspection it's quite plain, and on top of that it's lacking when it comes to details. In images and on video the controls might look small, but to my hands they feel great. They're all clicky and robust, and they feel good even after hours of play. The D-pad is precise and has a soft clickiness that I find very comfortable to use. Now you might notice the massive grey bezel around the screen, and I'm sure that would annoy some people, but I like the retro aesthetic that it adds to the overall look. If you get bored of your retro backlog and want to play something slightly more modern, you'll be happy to hear that it runs on Android. So just like your phones, it will be easy to use, and you can log into Google Play Store and download all sorts of games and apps on there. Right, so now we know what it is. This is my list of good and bad stuff. Good stuff number 1. I mentioned this earlier, but the quality is excellent. It doesn't feel or look like a cheapo Chinese cash grab. I also said the quality is higher than the Anbernic 40XX, which is obvious, given that it's about 100 whatever currency more. But it's also more precise than the Anbernic 406 as well, which is within the same price bracket. Please note that I'm just commenting right now on the attention to detail and not how robust it is, because without drop testing it, the Anbernic 406 does seem like it would take more of a beating. We'll get back to the 406 later. Good stuff number 2. The 6-button layout is perfect for Saturn games, and this is a big reason why someone might choose this model over most of the other ones on the market. Back in the olden days, when I was a young warthog, we didn't have the luxury of a universally agreed positioning for select and cancel. So with games like Shining Force 3 for example, the select button is on C. That means with 4 face buttons, C is mapped back here, which is ferociously annoying to deal with. Of course, you can remap these buttons however you like on other handhelds, but that could mean sacrificing other functions. A great example is the Street Fighter games. No matter how you swing it, 4 face buttons aren't going to feel as good as this in that scenario. Finally, my last good stuff call out is the gorgeous AMOLED screen. It looks crispy and the colours really pop. But it does have a bit of jelly scrolling. It isn't a problem during games, only when you're scrolling quickly through Google Play Store and other text apps, but that's something you rarely do. And it's difficult to show you how that looks on video, so do look into that if it sounds concerning. I'm just mentioning it because it might be something that bothers you if you have OCD. I must stress again, this isn't something I've noticed in the games I have played. Okay, so far so good. Now it's time for the bad stuff. Bad stuff number 1 is a biggie, and the main reason why I would not recommend the Retroid Pocket Classic at this point in time. If you're not using the stock launcher, the handheld will often hard lock you out if you leave it in sleep mode for too long. This requires a reset, which is quite simple. Just hold the power button for 10 seconds and then boot it up again. But over time, this annoyance adds up if you want to quickly continue where you left off. Looking online, I've seen other people have the same problem, and until this gets patched out in an update, I can't fully commit my love to this. It seems that this doesn't happen when you use the stock Retroid launcher, but that's no good for me because I prefer the Emulation Station launcher, which is better in so many ways. As a side note, using a different launcher isn't a beginner friendly process, so I will add a link to Retro Game Core's tutorial below. Bad stuff number 2, this thing makes my hands feel moist. and it happens quite quickly whether or not I have it in standard or high performance mode, and even when the fan is running. It could be the thermal setup inside, or it might be that my fingers are close together, which brings me on to my third bad point. I feel like I always have to be conscious of how I'm holding it. It doesn't just rest naturally and ergonomically in my hands. It's not just the size that contributes to this, but the positioning of the controls. I mentioned that I like the bezels aesthetically, but the thickness of it means that the controls are pushed further down into the chin, which affects my hand positioning quite drastically. This might sound like a contradiction to something I said earlier, so to clarify, I like how the buttons feel, but I don't like how they're positioned. For this comparison, I have the Anbernic RG40XX and the RG406. The RG40XX isn't as powerful as the Classic. It's rated as an A up to PS1, whilst the Classic is rated an A up to Sega Saturn. It has an IPS screen which doesn't pop as well as an OLED, but physically it looks nice on the body because of how far it stretches across the chassis. It's not as well built as the Classic, but a big advantage is the analog stick, making it more versatile, and also the price. This is around £60, making it perfect as an entry-level handheld. This is the RG406V. The price and power is close to the Classic, but the Classic plays some high-end consoles slightly better. It's obviously not as pretty and sleek as the Classic, but it's very comfortable with grooves and curves all over the place, designed for comfort and ergonomics. If your plan is to slide one of these into your pocket for gaming on the go, the Classic is more suited for this because of the smaller size. The screen is wider, so it will look better with games that usually have a wider display, and it also has analog sticks, which makes it incredibly versatile. If the decision is between these two, I would say go for the RG406 unless you only aim to play Saturn games and any other console that does not use analog sticks. I have full videos about these two Anbernic handhelds on my channel, so check those out on the playlist at the end of this video. The Retroid Pocket Classic isn't a bad handheld. In fact, I like it, but it's very specific. As we've gathered, it's perfect for Saturn and older consoles on the go. The lack of an analog stick means that it's not great for a certain era and beyond, but it does mean that the handheld looks cleaner and aesthetically lives up to the Classic name. If you really need an analog stick, you can connect a controller via Bluetooth or USB to fill in that gap. And I'm guessing most of you watching this will probably have a Bluetooth controller laying around anyway. It demands that you use their mediocre stock launcher to avoid the sleep and unlock issues. Unless someone out there can blow that out the water by revealing the fix in the comments, of course. I do have a sneaking suspicion that it could be related to high performance mode and the fan setting, but my tests have been inconclusive. For most power users, this requirement is unacceptable. But if you're a newcomer and you don't foresee yourself tinkering around with things, this might not be a problem for you. The Classic is so close to being my favorite retro handheld because of the fantastic combination of screen, power, and build quality, and I suspect it's going to be my daily driver despite my complaints. And yet, I can't fully recommend this purchase to you unless you're willing to live with its quirks and limitations. But now it's your turn to chime in. How do you feel about the Retroid Pocket Classic if you have one? What would make this perfect for you? And do you have a fix for my lock screen issue? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to check out my link and discount codes below if this handheld sounds like the one for you. I'm going to leave you with some playtesting now, so enjoy that if you're going to hang around. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next one. Take care.